So today's online session is about course selection, and I'll walk you through a couple things. I probably have to shrink this browser, or I'll accidentally close it. Okay. In your email, you should have gotten something from Mr. Dominguez, Joe Dominguez, and that email told you about course selection. Looks like this. And you should have clicked on either this Google Doc or the PDF, and then you'll bring this thing up. So there's a bunch of videos here for you to watch and be aware of. The introductory link, statement of awareness. You have to turn this in order to go through the course selection process. That's new this year. It's making sure you know what the process is about, that you're not guaranteed any class or teacher, although the counselors will work on getting you your graduation requirements. Okay, that always comes first. Course options and descriptions. If you click on that video, it'll show you this whole big thing that tells you about classes. During this time, since everything is online, this is what it looks like now. If we were in school, this would happen all in Reg, and your teachers could tell you about that. Your subject matter teachers, like your bio teachers, would tell you about what's available for science as a sophomore. Your math teacher would tell you about math classes. PE, it's already set, so on and so forth. But since we are away for this shelter in place because of COVID-19, we're doing it all online, and I can helping you through this process and also advising you. All right, so right now we're here, and to my knowledge, it hasn't been released yet, your course selection info. Okay, a question you may have, like on this point over here, can you see my mouse at all? I'm unsure. Okay, so if you can't see my mouse, then I'm going to highlight. So then in this section that I'm highlighting, okay, we're entering that today. And some of you, I heard from previous classes that some of you couldn't access this video. It just tells you which classes you need to take, and everything matches up with what I said. Oh, okay, did you get this error? You might have gotten this too. Yeah. Okay. So I'll post it on the Piazza. You can download it and watch it. That also works, I think. Okay. Yeah. So you can also download it and it'll be just fine. Uh, so Miss Fong, it could be your counselor, pretty much tells you what you need to take as a sophomore to meet graduation requirements. And if you were here Wednesday with me, it's like all this stuff, right? What English, what math, what history, PE, science, and electives. She goes over that, and she has it in the course selection window, and then tells you what to press. So as Melinda pointed out, you can download it, and then you can watch it at your own time. Something that's new this year is also this seventh course and eighth block request sheet. Okay, this is new for the semester. During course selection, you're only supposed to pick 6 classes. You have to prioritize which 6 classes you definitely want, and then you can apply for a seventh course. You are not going to be guaranteed that seventh course because of all these things they wrote, like class enrollment or just teacher availability, so on and so forth. That's the purpose of this Google form. And there's some points you should know about this, okay? This Google form is also the form that, let's say you play a sport or you have an internship or a job and you need to leave school early. This is the form that you fill out so that you have block 8 off next year. All right, and so this last point, you have until April 10th to finish your course selection. These video or this link, right? Course selection, you've seen that before, okay? Last year in your registries with your peer mentors, and your username and password, that's going to be sent to you this evening, okay? You need to check your student emails for that information, and you should have an ID along with a password. I think as some of you, do I have any of you in my reg? I don't have any of you in my reg, but your reg teachers typically would be. Oh yeah, I do. I have Raymond in my reg. Yeah. So your reg teachers might be sent like your login information just in case you don't have it, because those little slips of paper, those square ones, would have been distributed during reg. But I don't know if that's going to happen this year. You may just have to email your counselor or someone else to get that information. Okay, so don't freak out if you don't see this email. It will come to you. And in this phase, it won't matter as much like the order that you pick, since this is just signing up for classes so that the departments, like for me in math, like my department chair knows how many sections of geometry to offer, how many sections of algebra 2 to offer, and how many people are doubling up, because that all affects our numbers. He has to assign teachers and making sure there's enough classes and enough blocks for those subjects. And every other department has to go through this process too. So if you are unsure, you submit something, there is still time to fix it, is one of the reassuring things about this phase. Okay, most of the videos are just the form and the counselors. Yeah, the counselors pretty much read through a giant bunch of text, and you've heard it a lot. Next year, as when you're sophomores going to juniors, you have new requirements, so it's kind of helpful to have someone tell you about these and playing back a video. So pretty much we're here right now. Does anyone have questions on these first two phases of the course selection or arena? You can type it in the chat, or you can ask me. Nope. Yes. Okay, so while you're thinking, while you're typing, I'll just talk a little bit more. Right now, it's just picking subject matters. Next time, we'll talk about times and teachers and all that for arena. That's like this phase over here. Okay, when you actually have your picks and you're planning, when the announcer comes out, that's the big block of classes. Notice that's like a month from now. Okay, that process you may need some help with. It's really complicated, and I'll be there to help you. Yes, so the announcer is this giant spreadsheet, okay, of all the classes and the times that teachers are teaching them for the entire school. So you're, because it hasn't been made yet. We don't know like how many people are taking geometry, so we don't know how many sections of the geometry to make. And like for classes, like for example, my programming classes, I don't know how many students are going to sign up for that. So my department chair, Mr. Hoffman, is still like waiting to get that feedback. That's why we have this course selection as like the first part. We need to know how much student demand there is so that they can make the master schedule, and then you'll get your announcer. Then you see the information so you can design your own schedule. All right, so yeah, good question. So the question that I just answered was about, okay, why is there this announcer and how is it different than course selection? And that's the difference, right? Right now it's the subjects. Then we get more specific. We talk about times and teachers. Okay, great question. Some person has asked about summer geometry and how does that fit into this course selection stuff. So right now, it looks like if you are signed up for summer geometry, this form has you. Let me refresh it because they're updating it. There were some missing classes, so I'm going to pretend to be Tracy. Okay. Okay, and then she's in 2317. And next. So here, notice they should only list like algebra 2, right? So if you are like, even if you are planning to double up, you plan to take summer geometry, or if you signed up and you're unsure, as a part of your 6 classes, okay, you're going to include one of those classes to be geometry. And then your 7th class is going to be algebra 2. If you get accepted, then you'll probably update your course description or course selection, right? To your email your counselor saying, I don't need geometry anymore, right? You'll hear by this date, okay? There's still time for your counselor to email you to change your course selection, like because like you got in, you're going to take geometry over the summer. You don't have to take it during the fall. And then but you want to save your spot in algebra 2. So that's why you want to apply for this one, okay? In the 7th course selection right now, if you already are planning on doing that, okay? Algebra 2. And we haven't gotten to the point where like you actually pick just yet. Notice that starts April 28th. So you'll be fine. You haven't locked in your schedule yet with blocks or teachers, so like don't worry too much if you signed up for Summer Geo. Okay, and that's the SFUSD Summer Geo. There's lots of people emailing around about online geometry. I have an email to share about that if you're interested, so then you could bypass that requirement. But if you want to get to calculus, I highly recommend taking geometry here at Lowell instead of doing an online course, right? Next best thing is a summer geometry. Okay, any other questions related to course selection, classes? Okay, why Geo at Lowell? So, um, so the geometry at Lowell is like it. You spend more time spacing out the material. Like SFUSD's summer geometry, you have 6 weeks of like 5 to 6 hours of geometry. Okay, 5 days a week. That's a lot of geometry to handle all at once, and that's supposed to be equivalent to a year of geometry. They use a different textbook. They use the workbooks, like the white pages. I have one. Uh, that kind of look like this, right? I teach this in one of my geometry classes, okay? They use this kind of thing. And that's different than the textbooks we use at Lowell. Our geometry is a bit more intensive, a bit more rigorous. So that's why if you go to Lowell, we prefer that you take geometry with us. Okay, so that guarantees that you won't miss any topics that you'll need later on in pre-calc honors and then later on in calculus. So that's recommended, but of course I can't stop you from signing up for whatever geometry you wish to take. And the main reason behind taking geometry like early or doubling up is so that you can get to calculus. If I go to my notes here, right? So if you don't wish to take calculus or that's not interesting to you, then you probably shouldn't take 2 math classes. Just take 1 math class a year. Sophomore year, take geometry. Junior year, take algebra 2. Then senior year, take pre-calculus, and then you'll be fine. Okay, other questions? All right. So on Piazza, if you think of your question later, you want to ask it like here, in this. So click on new post, and then Piazza enabled this new feature called live Q&A. Write in your question here, and then I'll be able to answer it, or other classmates are be able to answer it because we're still getting new information. Like here, maybe you're interested in science, right? Like, do I take chemistry honors or AP Physics 1? So here's some more information about that. And uh, what was it? Oh, I was working on a post. We got some information. Like if you notice on the 7th course form, let's say you wanted to take 2 science classes. There isn't 2 science, like let's say you signed up for chemistry honors and you want to take physics 1, right? So that's here. But if you signed up for AP Physics 1, there isn't chemistry honors listed here. And there doesn't seem to be regular chemistry either. So notice that's going to be a problem because if you want to take chemistry and physics, it's not on the 7th course request sheet. They're working on it. A student has already emailed the department chair and he's going to update this form. Mr. Dominguez is going to update this Google form to match that. And then that kind of information that we'll be getting real time is going to be posted on Piazza. Like another example of that, health is also missing from the 7th course request Google form. So that's probably going to get fixed later, but that's something we noticed and I pointed out. And then other classmates probably have the same questions you do, so ask it on Piazza so then others can get the help that they need. Okay. Questions, class? Around course selection? Yes. Yes, that is correct, Frankie. So right now we're picking just the subjects, which classes we want. At other high schools, the process like ends here. Um, the they just sign up like I want algebra 2, chemistry, PE, yada yada yada, and then it stops. Then the counselors go in and then they generate everyone's schedules. Here, like the picking your schedules for real, otherwise known as picking your teachers and the blocks that you want them. That's what makes Lowell special. Okay, only Lowell gets to go through this process, and that happens after April 10th. Sorry. Is there any other reasons besides something? And then you got cut off. Yes, right. So yeah, that's what makes Lowell special, right? We get to pick our classes. That level of rigor, that level of freedom and flexibility is what makes Lowell unique, and that's one of the reasons why like you chose to come here, right? It's that flexibility, that level of freedom, that level of academic maturity. It's one of the pros of Lowell, right? And it prepares you well for college. It's what makes us different, and why it started, I have no idea. um, Probably for that same reason, that we want to prepare you for college well, that you should be able to have this power into picking your classes and have this choice. When I was here at Lowell, we did it all physically. So we had a day off where we go to the gym and sign up for classes and then wait in the auditoriums, wait till our pick or rotation comes around, and then run to the gym and then literally have to fight people for the last spot in a certain class, right? Hence the name, like arena. Okay, um, that's some history behind that. And online course selection arena only started happening with like the last maybe 8, 10 years. Right, when I was still here, it was still paper picking of classes. And I think there's a video somewhere with like where the peer resource teacher has a video of like the chaos that happens during physical arena, old school arena. Other questions, class? Hmm. Yes. So this rotations in the future from April 20th to May 4th, that's the order that you pick classes in. Um, why does this matter? Because some classes have really small spots and the some subjects only have like one or two like sections, like one or two classes of it. And those are going to fill up really quickly. It matters not so much as a sophomore, but later as a senior, there are some classes like that. And so you have rotation order, right? Like last year as a freshman, you were all zero pick. You all went first before anyone else did. Because as freshmen, it didn't really matter. You're just learning the process. You're clicking through the online course selection, knowing what it looks like. That's zero pick. And then people, if you were picking your schedule for real, like there's zero pick, then the people that have first pick, second pick, third pick, it keeps going till your 12th pick, and then you get whatever's left. That's like the worst pick. Those people, you probably won't get most of what you want, like the classes or teachers that you want. There's got to be an order to it, who's first, who's last, and that's what these rotations are. It matters also, like for example, you want to take a certain teacher because you hear good things about them, right? Like for me, if I'm teaching like Algebra 2 next year and you were in my Algebra 1 class, you probably want to take me again, maybe, based on whether or not you had a positive experience. Let's say you did, okay? And then, but you're like 12th pick, and then every other freshman also heard, oh, Mr. Chan's teaching Algebra 2. I want him too. I want to take that class. So then everyone before you sign up for like my one section of Algebra 2, and then by the time it gets to you, when you're like 12th pick, it's already full. Well, shoot, you're out of luck, right? There's no more spots for you, even though you had me last year, you had a bad pick. Okay. That's why rotation matters. And each year, wherever your pick is, like you move up or you move down, correct? When you get to the top, like your first pick, well, then after you do your first pick, you're going to be booted down to like 9, 10, or 11th pick. So each year your rotation improves unless you're already at the top, in which case you go back to the back of the line. And as freshmen, we don't know what pick you have as of right now. It's broken down by regs. Okay, so that was a bunch of information around picks. It does matter to guarantee specific teachers because some teachers are preferred for a set amount of regions and others aren't preferred for other reasons. And you have to ask your friends, ask your upperclassmen if you know them on like why you would pick one teacher over another. But that doesn't happen until like a month later from now. And well, I guess all that's going to happen online because it's May 4th. That's still like we're still going to be away from physical school. School's still closed till then. So that's interesting. Okay. Now, a question was asked, what's the best way to finesse your counselor into changing your classes to what you want? Boy. So, uh I don't know how to comment on that. Okay. Just you should know your counselor, but also realize each counselor, right, has all these different regs to be in charge of. Let me go all the way to the top, right? Like here, these are all your counselors, and these are all the registry there's in charge of, right? So then Mr. Fong is in charge of. Wait, my reg isn't listed on here. Oh no, wait. Yeah, wait. Fong's 6. Huh? Strange. 20. No. Oh, yeah, it is here, right here. I was looking at Miss Fong, okay? Mr. Fong. Okay, so my reg is right here. So he's in charge of like that many people. Each counselor, Will kept changing my reg's counselor. Yeah, that happens because some counselors were leaving and stuff. So go talk to them, but know that they have like 300, 400 other students to worry about too. And if all of them were finessing them to get their desired schedule, then nothing's going to get done, right? So only talk with them if you have a serious issue. That's why in the precursor, this form, right, in the beginning, the statement of awareness, they tell you you aren't guaranteed to get anything here, right? The teachers or the blocks that you have them. In this video, there's Miss Frazier. She's going to talk about that. So your statement of awareness, right? Yeah, you would be nice to them. You have good intentions, but like this is how the system works, okay? You can try to, but don't expect them to like make it happen, right? So the counselors are going to try to help you, but depending on your situations, they mean like other people might have greater priorities compared to your needs. Like, oh, I just want to be in Mr. Chan's class again. Well, that's not really a good enough reason. They have to filter through all those requests and like think about like the counselors that you have. It's going to be unfair if you get special treatment versus the others. Like I don't think that's fair, but you can always try. Yeah, so no tips around there. It's possible, but like think about the person that has last pick. Your counselor is going to be worried about them building together a schedule, or like if they didn't get internet access in time, then they had to submit it incomplete. They have to build out schedules for them first before they go weed through like, oh, why does this student need this teacher here or that teacher there? Okay, other questions on course selection? Definitely check your emails now. If you're unsure about which courses to take, ask your friends. You may want to take a class because your friends are in it. History is optional. AP classes are all optional. We good? Jimmy, Annie, Diego, Frankie, Rice Cooker, Inasoc, Melinda, Nikki, Monica, any questions? You want to take European history? Okay, so all you do is just put AP Euro as one of your 6 classes, right? And if necessary, if you're taking more than 6, then put it down as your 7th class. So you'll have to wait till course selection, that process goes. So right now you're planning, you're thinking about which 6 classes do you want. So you're likely going to get into AP Euro. You won't be denied from that, I'm pretty sure. What about a test? Oh, for APs? Yes, when you take an AP class, there is a test in May. So that thing decides whether or not you like learned. So you get a grade for the AP class, and then you take this other test to see if you get AP credit, right? Like for colleges later on. And that's largely like multiple choice and then some free response questions, and that determines whether or not you pass or not. Like 1, 2, 3, and 4 or 5 are the grades. If you get a 3 or higher, then you've passed the and get college credit for it, and that's in the fall. And that's different than normal classes. Like normal classes, they have finals and that's it. But AP classes have the AP test along with like a final for the class. Your arena login looks like a bunch of numbers. Someone asked what it looks like. It's like a bunch of digits for your ID and then a bunch of digits for your password. Okay, Tracy is complaining about extra credit. For what? World class. She always complains. It's normal. So, yeah, she's not here, but okay. So, right. So, Synergy recently had a feature where I can't give you more than double what the max amount of points are. So, everyone that had greater than 100% in my class, Synergy said no, and that's why your grade was bumped down to like 90 something percent. Okay. I can't enter like 4 out of 1 anymore. It only allows me to enter 2 out of 1, right? Yeah, that happened because of how extra credit worked, right? Since they did the extra credit, I tried to give them more extra credit. So then I gave them 4 out of 1. That's quadruple the number of points, right? And then Synergy, after their update, whatever they did, they only let me enter 2 out of the 1. I can't save a grade that's 4 out of 1 anymore. I'm like, okay, fine. So then I made it 2 out of 1. Ah, so if you get an F in an AP class but pass the exam, do you fail the class but get college credit? Yeah, it could happen for whatever reason. So, if you fail an AP class, like you don't do well, but somehow you pass the AP test, then yes, you get credit. You get college credit, and it's not recommended. But like some of your AP teachers, like for AP chemistry, if you get a 5, which is like perfect score pretty much on an AP test, your teacher will go back and change your grade to an A. Now, that doesn't apply to all AP teachers, only some go ahead and do that because they find the 2 grades equivalent, right? How you do in the class versus how you do on the AP test, right? If you get a B in your class with your teacher, you should expect like a 3 or a 4, probably not a 5, but who knows? Maybe the AP test was easy that year. There is some kind of matching there. Oh, and also something you should know about AP classes and also honors classes is that they're weighted. So that means that an A in an AP class or an honors class counts as 5 points instead of your usual 4 points. A B, which is usually worth 3 points, like 3.0, it actually counts as 4.0. A C is usually 2.0, but if it's weighted or honors or AP, a C is 3.0. So that might incentivize you to take honors or AP classes. Just know that the work that's involved is way more than a normal class. Okay, but also it might boost your grade. So like, let's say an easy honors class like your Chinese native speakers or Spanish native speakers, that those classes are weighted. So if you get an A, it counts as 5.0, and then it'll boost your GPA. There are people that have taken like all weighted classes, either AP or honors, and somewhere out there's a Lowell student that has a 5.0. Good for them. You don't have to be that student. So is passing more important than getting college credit? Okay, some of you want to, then go ahead. You can always try, but don't stress out over it. Like, you're fine the way you are, all right? 4.0 is good, 3 point something is good, 2 point something is good. You're passing. That's what matters. So is passing an AP class better or more important or getting college credit? The two, I'd like to think about them as the same. Like, if you get a C, that's still passing. And then if you get a 3 out of 4 on your AP test, then you get the college credit. I think the UCs since then have changed. Like, for me, I took like all the AP classes I could, but I got like passing scores in all of them. And then when I got to college, like my rotation was pretty high, right? I came in with like sophomore status, so I got to pick before people that had no AP classes before. I think they've since eliminated that. Um, you may be able to skip some requirements based on AP classes, like your history if you take AP US history as a junior, and then maybe some math if you take like AP calculus when you get to college. But it depends on the school, and I can advise you on that like later when you're juniors. That matters a bit more. Right now, your APs, it's just getting a taste of what a college class could be like and learning more. What's the easiest AP? Depends on you. You hear like human geography is a 1 semester long and it's a lot of memorizing. People may suggest that as easy. I don't think Euro is going to be easy, or World, or English. AP Computer Science Principles is an easy class. I think that's agreed upon across the board because it's friendly to beginners. So that's an easy AP Computer Science Principles if you want to take that. Um, AP language may be easy depending on whether or not you're a native speaker or not. Like AP Chinese was really easy because it's not made for Chinese speakers. You don't have to learn anything new for the culture. It's made for outsiders or foreign to the language, to the Chinese environment. So when I took that, I thought it was really easy. Um, so there's that. I am not going to be teaching AP Computer Science Principles as of right now. I'm going to be teaching probably the AP Computer Science A class. That's the programming class that requires prior experience. Stuff on tones? Well, no, because writing, listening, speaking. Okay, those three things are what are assessed, right? Writing, reading, speaking, and then like multiple choice or something. So your tones don't have to be super good. Like imagine a full-blood American, right? A white person learning Chinese, right? How are they going to speak, right? They can still get a 5 out of 5 on the AP Chinese test, so you don't have to stress too much. So this is the class I'm probably going to teach up here on the screen, AP Computer Science, not principles. Although I could teach either. Okay, other course selection questions. It begins later this evening. You'll get your login information. So I'm just fielding questions about that. No math is going to be talked about unless you want to stay and talk about math. Yeah, he did the same thing with me. So this student is telling me about their Chinese experience. They have Mr. Danforth right now, and you go a lot into tones. Like, yeah, I had to stand in front of the class and go over the difference between fourth tone and second tone, and like 四 meaning 4 and 十 meaning 10, right? I couldn't say those specifically, so I had to stand in front of the class and practice that for like 5 minutes. Yeah, that was really embarrassing. But I learned the difference between those two tones afterwards. So it's Mr. Danforth for you. Yeah. That's because like Chinese are a tonal language, right? So the how you say things matters, right? Right. And you end up speaking Cantonese like that's the part of learning a new language, right? And that's what makes like Chinese different than like the Latin-based languages or the Romance-based languages. Okay, any other course selection related stuff? I might have mentioned this already, but this email that you got about science from Mr. Fong, it's a little out of date here. Juniors, where is it? Can't find it. Junior, senior. Oh shoot, might have deleted it. So like here, like if you're taking physics, AP Physics or Chemistry Honors, the requirement is just Algebra 1. It's not Algebra 2 like he says it on his email. I can't find it right now. I might have deleted it accidentally. So whatever it says in your course description, that's accurate. So what if you want to double up on math and you put Algebra 2 as your 7th class? Right now, that is the only option to double up. Yes, you put geometry as one of your 6, and then you put Algebra 2 as your 7th class in this Google form, 7th course request. It doesn't work the other way around, unfortunately. I think someone got back to me in my email. Okay, so here's the email from my department chair on that. Because like, let's say you signed up for Summer Geo, like a student asked earlier. Ooh, Summer Geometry might be canceled, who knows? Okay, it looks like if you know for sure, right, that you're taking geometry, then you'll sign up for Algebra 2. If you're unsure whether or not you're going to take geometry or not, then you'll sign up right here. Geometry as your 6th class, and then Algebra 2 as your 7th class. So this is from my department chair. Take his word for it. That's what you do in course selection. Okay, so then I have some other things around course selection. So you can always email me like these people have, and I will get back to you on that. I'm not going to look at those other ones since I am recording. Questions, class? Joyce, any questions? You joined a little bit later. If any more questions come up, just know that I'm available via email. You can ask in Piazza over here. I'll post information that I get that's new, that I feel like it's relevant. There's also the Discord. You can sign up there. Do you know how to sign up for Geo at City College? Now, that's complicated because City College typically offers higher level classes, and you probably, as a freshman going into sophomore year, you don't have enough units to take it yet. And even if you did, I don't know if they're going to teach high school geometry at City College. They usually teach geometry as credit recovery. So that means that if you failed the class, then you retake it there for credit. And I don't know whether or not those are the same. So you'll have to wait a little bit for me to look into what does, um, like you're taking geometry to accelerate, right? And you're taking an intensive geometry class. That's different than credit recovery. Yeah, online is there's guaranteed you're guaranteed to find options at online for Geo. Skyline College, it's down the ways. Okay, you have to like go down to what was it, Pacifica a little bit, or the edge of Daly City, San Mateo, like the peninsula, that area, and that's another community college you can go to, but you'll have to like commute there. For AP classes, you don't have to take the class in the beginning; you take it at the end. I'm not sure what you're quite asking me about AP classes. It's AP classes are a year-long commitment, and the test happens at the very end. Yeah, and for like summer geometry or online geometry, you need to talk to your counselor. They have to approve of the online geometry that you take, making sure that you get transcript credit for it. Otherwise, it won't count for much, and you still got to take geometry with us and somehow validate it as a district. Handleable. Okay, so for AP classes, because you're a sophomore, right, you may want to try one. I don't recommend taking two AP classes as a sophomore. So try it out, and if you think like so far things have been really easy and you have some time, right, you want to be challenged more, then maybe do two. Like take a AP history and take AP physics, or maybe AP bio based on your recommendations. Okay. uh, and like at most you take AP language, right? Taking three AP classes as a sophomore is like as most as you can. Then like that's not going to work too well, right? You're not like it's going to be hard, especially because it's your first time. That's three AP tests. That's three classes that are going to be a lot of work. Junior year, once you got a sense of it, your sophomore year, then you could layer on more. Mm. So if you look at mine, right, my transcript, I shared this like on Wednesday, right? So my sophomore year, I just took one AP class, right? AP Euro. Junior year, I took two AP classes, okay? And senior year, I took one, two, three, four AP classes. And so AP tests do cost money. Those are reduced based on whether you qualify for free or reduced lunch. So maybe cost like $20 or so a test, and you do have to pay that out of pocket. There are scholarships or money for to give out to pay for tests. Um, you'll worry about that in the fall, but just a heads up that because the college board is this outside organization, it's a nonprofit that it's been around forever, and they have to make the tests, and so that's why they charge for it. It's like how you have to pay for SATs. There's a small fee involved, and that fee can be reduced. There are funds to help you pay for that if that's something you need help with. Okay, Algebra 2 teachers do you recommend? Okay, it depends on who you are. Like, all the Algebra 2 teachers are good. They have different styles that may work with you and maybe not work with you. Every Algebra 2 teacher pretty much uses the same textbook. It's a traditional textbook, kind of like the Orange Merrill textbook that I gave you. And as of right now, Mr. Knight is the only one that uses the workbooks. So that's probably what you experienced in middle school. So think about that, like the white pages, right? And those pages, but Algebra 2. Right, and Mr. Fortin also uses the white workbook sometimes. All the other Algebra 2 teachers, because like you got to ask your friends on which ones are the ones like, which ones are good. If I were to recommend people, then I recommend my cousin, Mr. Cheng, Mr. Knight, Mr. Centers if he teaches that. Mr. Lee's good too. Those are the teachers that I would recommend for Algebra 2. Okay, it's not guaranteed that I'm teaching Algebra 2 next year. I'll let you know first thing if I am assigned to teach Algebra 2. About textbooks, when do you right, when do you return textbooks if school doesn't open again? Great question. You return them in the fall when you are back at school. That's what the logical thing is to me. You just hold on to them, make sure you don't lose them, and we'll deal with that. Like, what if you decide, oh, okay, so if you decide to transfer, well, then you take your time to return them. Otherwise, I don't know if SFUSD wants those books back, but they are kind of expensive. So like drop them off, give them to your teacher if you are. Just be responsible about that because you may not have a use for it. Right? We gave them to you for free. We're a public school. We have limited funds to get textbooks. Okay, other questions? My strong class of 11. I think I told you everything I know about course selection so far, so if you have no questions, then we might just call it good at this point. It's about almost been an hour. I have to teach Algebra 2. We will see. I kind of want to teach Algebra 1 some more, but really, my hands are tied with AP Computer Science and my off-year geometry class. So you can request it, but we'll see. Like by this date, right? When the announcer's out, you'll know what classes I'm teaching. Forget the new freshman. The incoming freshman class means something to me because like when I first became a teacher, I taught sixth graders, and they would have been eighth graders right now. So next year they're going to be maybe choosing to go to Lowell, and I kind of want to teach some of them Algebra 1 if that's possible. But who knows? I taught at a really small school, so it's not guaranteed that they'll be in my class at all. We'll see. I hear your comments. Okay, it's been requested many times that we go on to teach Algebra 2. Like, go on and take Mr. Cheng. He's fine. He's my cousin. Mr. Cheng. You know, the guy that comes into our block 8 sometimes. Yeah, I hear you. So we'll see. All right, class. If there's no other questions, then you can sign out. You can stay a little bit if you want to talk about math, but I'll just call it here. The guy who shakes his head in disappointment when he sees Chan teaching. God, oh, that hurts. And never speaks. You know, I'll share that with him. He'll enjoy that. All right, no further questions with course selections, and you all are good to go. You've stayed with me for like an hour or so. Go enjoy your weekend. Next week's spring break, so I'm not going to be posting math stuff. Office hours will still be happening, and you'll just ask me questions, or we can work on other things. The stuff I'll post, it will be not that heavy related to math, but if you want to do more math, it's going to be there. Cool.